Okay, so here's an assertion. A new subgenre has emerged in the cute girls genre of anime. A place further than the universe I dub cute girls venturing into the unknown.
To chart a course that makes the travel worthwhile. And that's not happening.
So there's this old story you might know about King Arthur and the Holy Grail.
It's a much more profound idea than that.
Not that one. This one. King Arthur and his knights are searching for the Holy Grail, the object that grants that which is desired most. When they begin their search, not knowing where it might lie, it's said that Arthur and his knights entered the forest from the area that appeared the darkest to each of them. The idea is that that which is desired and equally needed most will be found where one least wants to look, where one is most anxious about looking. It's fitting enough that not only do our girls work to overcome the struggle of committing to going to a foreign, cold, distant place, but also they do a lot of establishing, altering, and even abandoning relationships throughout. For those new to the series, our main character is Mari Kamari Tamaki, a young girl just entering her second year of high school. She's been living a pretty normal life, but has always longed to do something grand with her life before she leaves the adolescence of youth. However, every time she has attempted to take the first step of such plans, her anxiety has kicked in and she has turned away and went back to her same basic routine. And is it basic or what? She has one close friend, a mess of a room, an alarm permanently on snooze, and mediocre grades to boot. Things change, however, when she meets Shirase, the seemingly calm, collected, and beautiful daughter of a now-deceased expeditioner, who seeks with absolute determination to go on her own expedition to Antarctica and find her mother, or at the least, more realistically, seek out the beautiful sights and experiences that her mother valued enough to leave her behind. Next comes Hinata Miyake, a voluptuous, brutally honest cashier with a work ethic like nobody's business and a hobby of writing aphorisms. Aphorisms? Could this be Best Girl?
Yes! Yeah. That's the right way to think about it. Really? Like, the best. Not the best for me, although that's part of it, because here I am. And I'm in the game too. I'm so greedy, let's say. I don't just want the best for me. That's not enough for me. I'm too greedy for that. Maybe I'm too selfish for that. I want the best for me in a way that's the best for everyone else too. Because that's even better.
Next we are introduced to Yuzuki Shiraishi, a young blooming idol and model in the middle of her youth life crisis. She has no friends, but she has plenty of trust issues. Now the first thing I'd like to brag on this show for is its brilliant presentation in general. Madhouse knocked it out of the park with this one. The simplest moments, from this goofy sleepover-esque scene of the girls trying to fall asleep but all finding themselves unable to contain laughter over a stupid sleep-deprived utterance of two combined phrases, to this insanely intense scene of Kamari's mom murderously scolding her for signing up for this trip without first consulting her. Basically everything is animated and directed with intention always in mind. Last chance to avoid major spoilers right here, guys. I'm about to really dig into what I believe the major theme of this show is. And I'm serious when I say it's juicy. You need to go watch this show. But if you're still on the fence nonetheless, well, stick around and I'll try to convince you of what I think makes it so great. We're given hints early on that Megu, Kamari's only previous friend, firstly doesn't want Mari to take this trip and doesn't want to give her a chance to grow up and leave her behind. They have for a long time held a dangerously high codependence devoid of any real substance. Of course she does it anyway, since she's not content with living out her life as a boring normie who does only what is minimal and required of her. In a more extreme case, concerning Hinata's old quote-unquote friends, Shirase shows us that she knows better than anyone, the human leech when she sees one. And she knows what to tell them too. If you've got this type of relationship with someone, the likelihood is you need to
get better friends.
So, plot, yada yada, they join an expedition crew planning to take a journey to Antarctica. There's some significance in that this crew perseveres, short-staffed and broke, preparing as best as they can for the hard trip ahead. By biting the bullet and taking this insane expedition with a crew in the same boat as them, the girls release their potential to do more great things in the future, now with the knowledge in mind that it is always possible to try and even gain some major ground if you just commit to something. We're given a look at some very real and dualistic characterization throughout. Mari turns out to not only be anxious, she's legitimately a bit dense at times, as well as a sweet lover who is somewhat self-conscious about her weight. It's hilarious and very human, simple character development. Although Shirase originally exemplifies a somewhat calculated demeanor, it turns out that she's both easily embarrassed and easily excited. While Hinata is a goddess, a genius philosopher, and one of the hardest workers in the universe, we get our first taste of how human she turns out to be when she clumsily misplaces her passport of all things in episode 6. We found out in the same episode that Hinata doesn't appreciate consideration, and in general despises those who talk about her behind her back, but turns out much later, she's not too good at sharing her real feelings herself. Yuzuki, well, Yuzuki mostly just has trust issues, but they're represented quite realistically, and the nature of her idol status, though not explored in any crazy depth, is pretty interesting in and of itself. They're all total babes. Hinata just happens to be the babest of them.
Not even a word, stupid.
One of the most interesting and relevant concepts we see presented is that the girls all have differing and muddy conceptualizations of just what friendship actually is. Now, it's clearly exemplified by the show that friendship is in many ways about finding meaning and duty, celebrating milestones, and just not being leeches upon those close to you. But the show says it best when it just says, thanks. I believe the girls are still too young to conceptualize the utility of their natural contributions to each other on the hard journeys of life, but they at least learn to recognize the feelings behind this notion. And, well, that's also just simply enough for them. The show itself openly lets us in on the fact that they're all a little broken, but that's okay. The pathos is real, guys. So, I hear what you're saying.
No, can you please stop speaking in these backwoods riddles?
Well, what the show is saying is this. If you don't try something, you'll never find anything you're good at. If you don't go explore that which you have not yet explored, you'll never find anything new of value in life. And you're likely to find the most value if you go explore with people who are also seeking out value, whether that be on an expedition to Antarctica, or whether it be a simple creative endeavor here on YouTube.
Now
Shirase could have come this far and avoided the most personal aspect of this journey, but she would have been giving up likely the only chance she has to finish this and move on. In spite of her intuition that she might lose all of her current feelings forever if she gets there and realizes that she doesn't actually share these aspirations with her deceased mother. She realizes that this is likely the only chance she has to actually find out, and she doesn't wish to leave with regrets. When they get there, although Shirase is content with having seen her mother's home away from home, her friends are determined to find some remaining speck of her mother's existence. And my goodness, do they find the Holy Grail or what? I'm not going to lie, I cried like a baby when they found what they found. Talk about human all too human. Go watch this show! At the end of the trip, everyone has grown substantially. They're working harder than ever before in a distant land they once knew nothing of, and they're enjoying it. They're fulfilled by it. When the girls make the final request that the crew celebrate their departure, first by having a friendly game of baseball, Gin, her mother's captain, doesn't hold back. She sends a fastball spiraling towards Shirase, and she knocks it out of sight. At the end of her journey, she has experienced a grand realization, finds acceptance, asks for her hair to be cut in the likeness of her late mother, and even shows a modicum of composure when she gives her farewell speech to the crew and her mother's likely favorite place in the universe. What the show says best, in my opinion overall, is that there is much beauty to be found in life. You just have to actually go look for it.